welcome back. I'm your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and I know it's actually Monday, but I'm not going to be doing a prepared Monday today. Instead, I actually want to do a very specific type of video that's gonna surprise many of you because of how avidly small government I am, and that is a response to the anarcho-capitalist movement, specifically the extremist anarcho-capitalists, who seem to believe that there is absolutely 100% no legitimate government construct at all. Now, many of their arguments range on the concept that, first of all, a government can't protect your rights, and second of all government institutions are socialism, and so on and so forth. So let's actually look at this from a realistic perspective. So John Locke stated that there were three fundamental natural laws: that you own yourself, by extension you own your own property, and you own your own means of self-defense, the authority to protect yourself and your property. Now, while this is 100% true, there are some very distinct issues with this. If you take, say, the anarcho-capitalist man alone, which states that you alone can only defend your rights, and you alone have the only authority to defend your rights, you run into some serious problems. Number one, you have to sleep. Period. End of story. You will have to go to sleep at some point in time. You cannot stay up 24/7, 365 for the rest of your life. Number two, reproduction. The act of creating new children and procreating requires some form of shared self-defense, because somebody has to protect the mother while she is with child. She's not going to be able to defend herself as effectively and capably as she would be if not pregnant. Not to mention there will be nursing, tending to the child, caring for the child, and rearing the child. Number three, you can't produce anything if you are constantly having to stand in defense of your own rights. So this comes to the construct and concept that many of them push, which is a shared union construct of voluntary interaction of private security would work best. Well, this is fallacious as well, and Machiavelli said it best in this situation. Mercenaries who are hired to defend your country will only fight hard enough to ensure that they have not hurt their reputation and will not enact necessarily on the best interest of your country. This is also true of the individual. If you rely exclusively on paid defense through a private agreement, there is no repercussion if you are killed in the defense of your rights that can be taken against those who failed to defend you, and there will be no adjudication of the violation of your rights for you being killed, because there won't be anyone there to do that. Mercenaries are not going to attempt to adjudicate your rights after you're dead. You're not paying them to. So this construct falls apart. Now, if you're talking about a group of individuals getting together for a united self-defense where you take turns each guarding each other, you've created a government in and of itself in that construct, because that's a legal authoritative definition of a legal legitimate use of government. So we've got those arguments. Now, the other legitimate use of government is in a shared self-defense. That means a defense of the city-state or nation or whatever kind of organization you are, as well as shared self-defense of the individual. That's your first legitimate use of government. Now, the second and realistically only true legitimate use of government is a ability to adjudicate transgressions that does not have to require the death penalty. See, we're going to go back to this man alone concept here. If you protect your own rights, and only you protect your own rights, when someone steals from you, attempts to kill you, attempts to kidnap you, or successfully kidnaps you, the only recourse and redress you truly have is to kill the person. Imprisonment is impractical if you are defending your own rights, because you will have to deal with the imprisonment of the individual who has violated your own rights, which means you'll have to feed them, you'll have to house them, you'll have to clothe them, and you have effectively taken away their right to liberty in this aspect. And you effectively can kill them at any time to end this contract, but that's what you've got. Now, if you want to say, well, you can ignore the transgression, well, yes, you can ignore the transgression, and that's not going to deter them from transgressing again. The only effective deterrent you have is killing them. Plain and simple. Just straight up killing them. Now, some people would say, well, this is a legitimate use of force no matter what. Yes, it is. It is a legitimate use of force to defend yourself, your property, and your life. It really is. However, if you're going to be able to do business with individuals, most people are not going to want to do business with anyone if people are very quick to kill one another over perceived transgressions of individual rights. So the only way to create an effective bartering, exchanging culture is to have a neutral arbitration system. Read judiciary system, where you can take transgressions and have them adjudicated based on the constructs of your laws, read enforcement of your rights, and have a third party decide and administer necessary redress. Now, some people will like to point to Iceland in the Middle Ages and claim, well, they were an anarcho-capitalist society. Well, no, they weren't. First of all, they had a shared self-defense. Iceland was an unknown location at the time. They stumbled across it realistically by accident, and nobody but those people living there knew where it was. The fact that it is also an island and can't be seen from the landmass of Europe meant that it was really defended in that time frame, because we didn't have maps and charts and GPS. Second of all, they did have a shared adjudication system where they had magistrates in each township who arbitrated the laws that they had all agreed upon as a society to uphold, defend, and use. They also had a shared defense compact where they would all take up arms should the island be invaded. Now, truth be told, in a shared self-defense scenario, the most effective method is a shared defense of citizens all willing to take up arms. Now, that being said, nations the size of the United States, a call to arms would be difficult at best to accomplish, to create a unified defense, which is why we went ahead and went to a standing army resolution style. Now, that being said, our armies are used far too often in far too many foreign conflicts, and I don't disagree with you there. What I do disagree, though, is that army is not necessary. It is very much necessary to be standing, but it is also very necessary for the citizens to still be armed in order to keep the government in check, as well as to keep a united shared self-defense and private defense of your individual rights should somebody violate them. Now, once again, if you have the ability to adjudicate, that's fine. And I like having that ability to adjudicate and use something other than force for my neighbor stealing an apple. If what you want to live in is a society where literally might makes right, then you can actually justify living in one of these constructs that these anarcho-capitalists create. But truth be told, human society has never worked like this. This is why we had familial and clan-based units, as well as tribes, even as far back as pre-Stone Age technology. People would band together as tribal and family units for a communal, shared self-defense and method of adjudication transgressions, because you cannot protect yourself 24/7. You, as an individual, by yourself, all alone, are incapable of doing that. It was one of the reasons banishment was practiced for so long as a transgression against the societal whole, because being forced to live on your own 24/7, 365 would literally kill you, but you would end up killing yourself due to your lack of paying attention. It wouldn't be necessarily society killing you. Well, I hope that I have answered some of the questions for those of you who have been investigating anarcho-capitalism. I hope I might have enlightened some eyes, opened some concepts. And truth be told, if a person is advocating for a shared self-defense and a basic method of adjudication, they're not arguing for socialism. They're arguing for basic societal constructs. Those are not social programs. That is not social welfare. That is not seizing of the means of production, no matter how you want to draw it. If we are going to have a successful, surviving species, we usually have to agree upon those two factors. Because without those, you literally run into the concept of, I'm stronger than you, therefore I can take your stuff and kill you, and nobody will do anything about it, because you'll be dead and nobody will care. Okay, so, and if you don't believe me, you can look at some places. I can tell you some specific places. You can start with Kosovo. You can look at, excuse me, Somalia, the Congo, and even places in Central and South America where groups such as, cartels or even just criminal organizations will literally kidnap people, kill people at will, at random. And they have the capability to get away with it because there is no effective method of adjudicating against them, and there is no community shared self-defense. Well, thank you all again for joining me. I hope you love this lovely Monday, and I hope you're all doing very well. Don't forget to check out my social media sites down below, as well as my Teespring and Redbubble store. And as always, have yourself a beautiful day.